Hello, ladies and gents, folks, people of all places. Hello and welcome in to episode 12 of the Bedside Table. I am your host, Ellie Marie, and it's so great. That's what it was about to sound like. And it's so great to have you here. If you're returning, welcome back. So glad to see you. And if this is your first time seeing me, hello. I'm Ellie Marie. Oh, God. Cringed at myself there for a second, but hey, that's okay. This is what it's about at the bedside table. Not cringing, but just being ourselves and inviting whatever energy we have for the day. And today I'm feeling good, feeling playful, having fun. And if you were here for last week's episode, it was episode 11. Yes, Ellie, that's the number that comes before 12. In last week's episode, it was a daytime episode, and it was the first time being in this setting, this new setting with being by the table and being here set up. And tonight, it is a nighttime episode, and I'm digging the nighttime vibe. How does it look? How does it feel? Are you guys enjoying it? I know it's only been like almost a couple of minutes, but are we enjoying it so far? Yes, I'm enjoying the vibe. I love the nighttime vibe. I love it. I've got my lights on here in my apartment and obviously some candles are going. I've got my tea. Because if you notice, I'm still congested, still can't hear out of my right ear, but we're just kicking ass anyway. Yes. Kicking ass at life anyway. Yes, I meant to say that. I started saying it. I was like, kicking ass, is that right? Yes, we're kicking ass. Not yours, just life's ass. You know, we're kicking it. Sure. I've got a couple of good topics to get into today, so I'm not going to keep you waiting. Welcome if you're new here, and welcome back if you're returning. Thank you so much for being here at the bedside table. Let's get into this evening's topics.
You got me feeling a vibe. You got me feeling a vibe. Like how could I not think of you? You got me feeling a vibe. You got me feeling.
I usually talk a little bit more in my intro, and I kind of had something lined up, like I was having a conversation with myself, and I was like, oh, I could talk about that in the intro of my pod, but sometimes things go a different way, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. So the first topic we're going to talk about this evening is what I wrote down. How can a routine, specifically a morning routine, affect your day? How do you start the day, and how does it make you feel? Okay. So routines, and specifically I'm going to be talking about morning routines, but generally just routines. It's kind of just going to go along the concept of a routine. Whether it happens in the morning, midday, evening, it's a routine. But I've gained this awareness about myself from trying and failing different ways of forming a routine. So what I mean by that is that back when I was pet sitting full time for just one lady, I was Monday through Friday just in a house, Monday through Friday, basically like a 9 to 5. The hours fluctuated, not really important, but I tried like scheduling out my day. So I had this journal. It was a fit journal. Excuse me. It was a fit journal from my girl Blagalates over at Pop Pilates. Love her. And I'd bought her journal for a few years, and there was always this to-do list for every single day. So I'd write down the things that I needed to do for the day, kind of to just give me some structure in my day, because at that time, again, I was just sitting in a house watching TV, playing on my phone. It just really started to feel like there's not really anything else I'm doing with my day. It was my full-time job at the time, was just going and sitting basically just what I'd be doing at my own home, just at someone else's home, getting paid for it. So just watching TV, eating, hanging out, playing on my phone, again, basically just what I would do at my house. So I just started to feel like my days were just like one big, like, blah, one unstructured not really a mess of a day, but just like nothing's really going on. Nothing's happening. There wasn't much I was doing outside of sitting around and watching TV and just a lot of sitting around, if I'm honest. Just a lot of sitting around. So I started writing down in this fit journal on the to-do list, just things to do. So I would write down like journal, work out, stretch, like those kinds of things. Just kind of trying to map out my day a bit to give myself something to do other than just sitting around. And I did it consistently for quite a while, consistently enough for me to be able to decide that scheduling my entire day didn't really work for me. I couldn't have my whole day mapped out. I couldn't really have or even just the majority of my day mapped out. So writing down a to-do list, it was helpful to give me some direction, to give me some structure. That was helpful. But it also made me feel like, I don't know, it just made me feel like, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. And I guess when I talk about mapping out my whole day, I guess my whole day wasn't necessarily mapped out. I was just trying to give myself something to do at work, really, which I accomplished it. I did that. But it helped me learn a little something about myself of how I do routine-wise. And I've tried a few different ways of scheduling my days and of forming routines throughout the past few years. And, excuse me, I need to cough. And I have found what works for me is generally just a morning routine. A morning routine is something that helps me, if I follow a few habits, just back to back to back, generally it sets me up for a more productive day. And so what I ended up doing when I got to work, for like the last year that I worked there, I was like adamant, I was just adamant about not sitting around so much. So I challenged myself to not sit for an hour when I first got there. I was not going to sit down for an hour. I was not going to be on my phone for an hour. I started just walking back and forth through the house to get my steps in. I actually downloaded a step app, like a walking app at one point to help me track my steps. I started doing that. And then I started coming in and I started putting on like jazz, just like instrumental jazz music. I'd put that on the TV and I'd start my day with either walking or I'd do like a little performative, with quotation marks, performative yoga or like stretch sesh. So like I'd pretend as if I was teaching people, like I was instructing a class of like stretching or yoga. I don't know what it is, but I just like I guess I like the teaching aspect of things, and it also just like helps me be in my imagination too. Anyway, I had a side note in my brain and I was like, should I talk about that? No, it's fine. That's for another day. But, so I just kind of got into this little bit of a routine in the morning that started my day off on a better foot. It gave me a better chance at having a more fulfilling day. And I think when we talk about routines and specifically morning routines, I think that's kind of their purpose, is to set us up for a fulfilling day. I'm not even going to say a productive day, because if I say that, it kind of leads me down this rabbit hole of just like, oh no, what do I need to do to be productive and all this? And like maybe other people will feel the same way if I use the word productive. I think I used it earlier. But it doesn't just have to be a productive day. And there are also many ways to be productive. Okay, my brain is like spiraling outward everywhere. I'm like talking about, my brain is going in so many places. I'm in a really good mood. So this is what my brain does when I'm feeling really good, is it's just like, oh, talk about this. Oh, go this way. Oh, go that. Oh, we could think about this and that and this. And I'm like, let's stay focused, Ellie. Stay focused. Love you. But let's stay on track. Okay. Routines. So productivity versus fulfillment. I think a routine should be more about fulfillment than it is productivity. And maybe being productive brings you a sense of fulfillment. I know it does for me. But don't get caught up on the word productive. Don't let yourself overthink that of like, oh, I didn't walk enough today. Oh, I didn't go for my run today. I didn't do enough today. Because when I hear productive, was I productive? My brain translates that into, did I do enough? And I think if I feel fulfilled with what I've done for my day or for my morning, like think about it like that too. It doesn't even have to be the whole day. Just if you had a fulfilling morning, is that enough for the day? Because life is crazy. It gets exhausting. It gets tiring. Things happen unexpectedly. Maybe you planned to go on that run today and you didn't. Maybe you planned to visit that friend or hang out with that friend. You didn't go. Maybe you planned on making that video or sitting down and recording that podcast episode or whatever it is. Maybe you planned on doing something that you ended up not doing, but that doesn't mean that the whole day is ruined. So you can be productive and you can have a fulfilling day, even if it's just nailing that morning routine. Just nailing the morning routine. Because what I've found for me is if I string together a few good habits in the morning, if I can get those few little habits, if I can get through those, if I can get those done, more often than not, I'm going to have a better day because of it. I'm going to have a more fulfilling day because of it. So I'll walk you through what that looks like. So my morning routine that sets me up for a more fulfilling day that I have found that works for me, and it's going to be different for everyone. I know, it's like, but how do I figure it out? How do I figure out what routine is for me? Trial and error, honey. Trial and error. I know, you have to try and you have to fail and you have to try and you have to fail. I know. That in itself can be exhausting, but I promise if you just try and fail, you'll get there. You'll find what works for you. And I know we probably hear that a lot and it's like, ugh. But seriously. But just don't put too much pressure on yourself to like, I guess, to try and find immediately like, oh yeah, this works for me. Like you try something once and you're like, oh, yep, that's for me. Don't get too attached. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you end up finding something that works for you and then it stops working after a while, don't be afraid to switch it up. Don't be afraid to try something new and try not to be hard on yourself about the things that worked for a little while and then ended up not being your thing. That's okay. It's life. It's life. And it can be frustrating and annoying, but it's beautiful too. We're figuring it out. That's what life is about, just figuring things out. And trying to enjoy yourself while you do it. But anyway, so my morning routine, the few habits, if I can get these done, if I can string them together and get them done, normally I've set myself up for a fulfilling day after I've completed 3 things. So I wake up, hold on, I have to cough. I'm sorry, I'm gonna drink some tea. Okay, 3 things. So I wake up and I make my bed. That's the first thing I do when I get up. I make my bed. Sometimes I make it sloppily. I try to make it neatly. Sometimes it's sloppy because I'm sleepy. I'm tired. It happens. But I make the bed. Then that triggers my next habit of brushing my teeth. So I make my bed first and then I brush my teeth. Then once I brush my teeth, I put on a little bit of jazz. Maybe I don't put on anything, but usually a little bit of instrumental jazz, and I do a stretch sesh. Maybe I follow along with a video. So if I'm not listening to the jazz, I might follow along with a video. Do some yoga. I like yoga with Adrienne. She's wonderful. So, those 3 things. If I can make my bed, brush my teeth, and stretch. Whether that's yoga or I'll just put a 10-minute timer on my phone and just let my body stretch, let my body move how it wants to. Usually I'm like stretching my neck in the mornings, like my hips a little bit, because I'm like tight. I just woke up. So, but those 3 things, if I can get those 3 things done, usually, more often than not, it sets me up to do more of things that make me feel good, like those 3 things do. And it's been crazy for me to realize just how accomplished I can feel by just those simple things. And I think if you take anything away from this mess of a conversation that I just presented to you, I know maybe it made complete sense. Maybe the puzzle pieces fit perfectly together for you. And if they did, awesome. My brain was just kind of going everywhere, and I ended up going everywhere. But if you take anything away from what I'm talking about, I lost it. That's so on brand for me. If you take anything away from this, I don't remember what I was going to say. That's me, folks. That's me. Oh my gosh. I'll get to it though. I'll get back to it. I just have to refocus my brain. I promise. This happens so often. If you go back and watch my previous episodes, there are so many instances where I lose my train of thought and then I just sit and I talk it out. I'm like, what was I talking about? And I just follow my thoughts until I get there and I'm like, oh yeah. So, I have to do that now. Because what was I talking about? Crap. Okay, so I talked about my 3 habits in the morning: making my bed, brushing my teeth, doing yoga. If you take anything away from what I just said, it's right there. I can feel it in my bones. It literally is hurting. It's on the edge of my skin. I can feel it. It's right there. Like I can remember it, but I can't. I remember it, but I don't. Okay, hold on. This is taking longer than usual, but hold on. Give me just a second. What the heck what golden nugget was I going to give y'all? I don't even know my own good advice. What the heck? I honestly, this is the first time that I'm not able to remember what I was going to say because I went off on a little tangent about how messy this has been. That's life, honey. That's life. Okay? It's okay. Maybe we move on? I don't know. I seriously can't remember what I was going to say. What the heck? And I don't want to just keep y'all here in my brain mud. Well, Dorothy, I don't remember what I was going to say. Okay. Well, anyway. Those 3 things. Let me just try and restart. Bear with me here. Let me just try and start, just rewind a little bit. Okay. I'm going to be a bit repetitive, obviously, because I'm just trying to repeat what I said to get back to where my brain left off. Bear with me. Okay. So those 3 things, if I can get through those 3 things: making my bed, brushing my teeth, doing some little bit of stretching. If I can get through those 3 things, then, oh my God, I'm losing it. Then usually I've set myself up for a more fulfilling day. And that's where I left off, right? Yeah. I genuinely don't know. Usually if I get through those 3 things, I've set myself up for a more fulfilling day. And if you take anything away from this, was I talking about whether those 3 things, whether it was enough for the day? Is that where my brain was going to go? I think, maybe. Sure, if you take anything away from this, if you can get through just a few things in the morning, just to start your day, and that's all you do for the day, if that's it, if you don't do anything else, if you end up going back to the same old things you usually do, you're watching TV, you're playing games, I do the same thing. If you go back to things that feel unproductive or unfulfilling, hey, I just want you to pat yourself on the back for completing just those few things. Just those few things, because it's just those few things is enough. Okay? Excuse me, I had to cough again, I'm sorry. But if you can find a few things that work for you in the morning that help you feel a little better about your day, that help you feel like you achieved something. Is that what I was talking about? Oh, yeah. Oh my God, I found it. Okay. It's crazy to me how small a thing such a small thing. It's crazy to me how such a small thing can make me feel so accomplished. Yes, here we go. I'm back, baby. I found don't lose it, Ellie. Keep going. Okay. And if you take anything away from this, it's those little things. So like I said, if you can just find a couple things, 2 to 3 things to start your day off with, just small, just minute. I'm literally talking about making your bed. This is what I do in the morning to help myself feel accomplished. I make my bed and I'm like, whoo, I did something. I brush my teeth and I'm like, yes, we're on fire. And then I stretch for 10 minutes and I'm like, okay, the day is slayed. The day is mine. I've seized the day. And all I had to do, all I did was make my bed, brush my teeth, and stretch. That's all I did. That's it. And those things, when I say them out loud, like it sounds so simple. But when you do that, when you do just little things like that consistently every single day, you feel accomplished for that. Excuse me. You feel accomplished. So if you take anything away from this, now this mess, if you take anything away from it, find yourself a couple little things that make you feel like, yes, I did it. And if that's all you do for the day, you're killing it. Freaking rock star. You are. But for real. And maybe, as you do those little things consistently, they propel you. They continue to fill you up with this energy that you get from feeling so achieved. Is that correct? Is that the right term? Sure. And then just maybe after you do those few little things that make you feel so good, maybe I'll make breakfast. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll work on a creative project today. Maybe I'll call a friend. Heck, maybe I'll go see a friend. Maybe I'll work a little harder today. Maybe I'll start a new hobby. Maybe I'll work on a hobby. Maybe I'll pick up on something that I left off. Just maybe those little things, as you do them consistently and you feel better and more fulfilled every time you do them, just maybe that propels you into more fulfillment and more productivity in your day. But start with those little things. Just find a couple little things that you can do, and it doesn't even have to be in the morning. So specifically, yes, I was talking about a morning routine, but it doesn't have to be in the morning. It can be any time throughout your day, any time that you have the time to just do a couple things that make you feel like, hey, I did that. And I'm happy about it, and I feel good about it, and I'm proud. Yes. Find a couple of things that make you feel like that. And you'll know when you find it. Maybe. Hopefully. Okay. We found our way back. Yes, we did. All right. Moving on.
You got me feeling a vibe. Like how could I not think of you? You got me feeling some type of way. From the songs, it's too early days, and I can't seem to keep my mind off of you. It comes and it goes, but it's never gone. How can I go on without you?
Well, this topic, let me just start off by saying this. This is kind of just my general curiosity, and maybe some of you will have some, not necessarily advice, but just something to say about it. Maybe advice? Sure. Just whatever you can say about it. This is kind of me asking you guys, asking my audience about what you think. Because I've been wrestling with this conflict for a little while now. So let me give you some context. I'm married, and at the moment, my husband and I are living separately. And we've been living separately for about 6 months. And the question has come up of whether we continue to live separately or whether we move in together. So we've lived together for years, and there's been a couple of brief moments where we've lived separately. And I've been wrestling with this inner conflict of, I guess I've been thinking about the benefits and thinking about the drawbacks. Because this is really the first time that I've ever been in my own space by myself for as long as I have, for 6 months, like in my whole life. I think before this, maybe it was 4 months that I was by myself. So this is the longest time, and this is really the first time that I've created a space for myself. So this is the first time, like, I've decorated it in a way that feels like me, and I have a bed that's my own, and I have things set up in a way that's like, okay, yes, this feels like me. And I really like what I've done, and I really like the space that I've cultivated. And let's just say that his space at the moment isn't entirely ideal, which is okay. I'm not saying anything bad about his space, but it's not this space, right? It's not my space. And I know that when you move in with somebody and you live with someone, of course, your styles and your habits and the way that you live, that all just kind of collides. I know that. I guess my conflict exists because, again, I'm thinking about the benefits and the drawbacks. The benefits, there's obviously a financial benefit. We'd be splitting bills, and we'd have more money to put back and save for a home, which is the goal. So if I think about it that way, like, the goal is to have a home, because we're both in apartments right now, and we've only, well, we rented a home once, but we've only ever rented, and our mutual goal is to be, our mutual goal is to be homeowners. We both want to be a homeowner, and we both want to have a home together. And that's something that I know we both really look forward to. So I know that by living together, we would be able to reach that goal more quickly. It would make reaching that goal easier, at least in a financial sense. And then, of course, the drawbacks are we have different styles of living. I like things to be clean and organized to an extent. It doesn't have to be perfect, but like, there are no dishes in my sink right now, and I like it that way. When the dishwasher is clean, when the dishes in the dishwasher are clean, I like to put them away. I also don't have anyone else's dishes to do. It's just mine. I don't have anyone else's trash to take out. It's just my own. And I like that. Which I think anybody could sit here and say, like, of course, you don't have double the load. Of course, anyone would like that. And there are people out here with literal families and like children, and it's like they have triple and quadruple the load. And I'm like, whoa, how the hell do you do that? That's crazy. Thinking back on my own parents, and I'm like, y'all are machines. No, but of course I could sit here and say, like, yeah, I only have my dishes to do, and I only have my trash to take out, and I only have my shit to worry about. Woohoo! And that's great. But if it comes to me thinking about like the mutual goals between me and my partner, living together would make it easier to reach that mutual goal of owning a home and potentially just having a space that we both really want to be in. Because I know neither one of us want to be in apartments for the rest of our lives. And as much as I do enjoy my space and what I've done with it, it would be nice to not be in a studio apartment. It would be nice to not be in a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment. It would be nice to have a home. So I'm wrestling just with this conflict of thinking about the benefits and the drawbacks of moving back in. Oh yeah, so like I was saying, we have different styles of living. He's a bit more comfortable. I would say a bit more comfortable with more clutter and more of a mess. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying we are a little bit of opposites in that way because it genuinely bothers me. And I think it's just because I grew up in such a clean household. And it was also one of those things, like if you left crumbs, you'd get yelled at. If you had like 1 or 2 things on the floor, it's like, oh my God, it's a mess. So it was very dramatized in my house because it was just chaotic and dysfunctional and all that. You know how traumatic childhoods are. No. But yeah, so I've tried to work really hard also with trying to learn like, okay, what can I be comfortable with? And what is just me? You know what I'm saying? Because like even me, I'm like, can I be comfortable with dishes being left in the sink? Can I be comfortable with the trash overflowing a little bit? And I would say yes, but not for long. And I think that's just me. And I'm trying to understand myself a bit better in that regard. So when we do live together again, it can just be something I'm like, okay, here's what I know about me. And if you can't work with me on those things, I don't know what to tell you. And that's another thing. It's just like, what do you feel like how far do you go with compromising? Should it be mutual compromise? Should it be more of a compromise in some areas and less of a compromise in other areas? I think it just genuinely depends on the people. So like, just for example, with my husband, he's a bit more comfortable with it being messier, and I'm really not. The compromise there, I think, would just be we have to meet somewhere in the middle. At least on that particular thing. At least when it comes to cleanliness and organization, we'd have to meet somewhere in the middle for me to be comfortable enough. And I think that's maybe just the way I've got to approach it with everything. And yeah. So, yeah, I've just been wrestling. Just been wrestling with that. Because I do miss living with him, and I enjoy living with him. There are just certain things about living with him that I don't really miss and I don't really enjoy, but I don't know. Is it okay to live in a bit of discomfort if it leads us to achieving a mutual goal? Like, I don't know. And even then, I think that's a personal decision of like, okay, am I okay with being uncomfortable to an extent temporarily? Am I okay with being uncomfortable to an extent temporarily to eventually reach comfort long term? Hopefully. Interesting. Let me know what you think. And if you are living with a partner and you guys have different styles, or maybe you started living together and it was really difficult and then you guys figured it out, or just let me know your thoughts on compromising when it comes to living with a partner that maybe the compatibility of your living styles isn't quite there. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. I'm curious.
Please don't let me. You got me feeling a fight. You got me feeling a fight. Like how could I not think of you? You got me feeling a fight.
All right, so I guess we're ending today's episode with our new host, Dorothy. All right, monkey, take it away. She's like, what do I do? You don't like the spotlight, monkey? Oh. She's my co-host. She likes it better when I'm here, I think. Well, hello. I was just about to start the episode again. Well, it's been a joy, as always, to sit down and talk with all of you. And I hope you took away something within this craziness of an episode. Listen, I always think of these episodes as being a bit more structured than they are. And again, maybe there's enough structure for me to be able to complete them. So that's good enough for me. But sometimes we end up going down a few roads and a couple of rabbit holes. But I love that. I love that about this podcast. I just love that we're able to talk about several different things within just a couple of topics. It's so how my mind works. It's just, this podcast is literally just such a great example of how my brain is. Like, I start with one topic and it goes here and here and here and here. But I love it. And I'm sure some of you can relate. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of The Bedside Table. And I've just been having a blast with it. I really have. There's a part of me that dreads doing this, but I've learned about myself that anything that is really worth it to me and anything that I genuinely enjoy, I dread first. Oh, interesting. What an interesting thing. There's just resistance and pushback. And there's the most resistance and the most pushback when it's like just something I'm so about, something I'm so into. I'm saying so a lot in this episode. Okay. It's okay. It's okay, Ellie. I love you. And thank you again for joining me for episode 12 of The Bedside Table. I really hope you did enjoy it. I love our talks. Oh, my candle went out. When did that happen? Probably when I flew past it. Who knows? It's okay. It's okay. I bring all the relaxing vibes just by being here. I told you I'm in a goofy mood. All right. I will see you next week with episode 13. Heyo. Oh my goodness. And again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're returning, thank you for your continued support. And if you're new, hey, welcome. Welcome to the Bedside Table fam. No, don't want to do that. Nope. Welcome to the community of comfiness. Yes. The comfy community. Okay, I gotta go. I'm too excited tonight. Y'all have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Good night.